Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Kansas. Bet you didn't see that coming. I was going to do a video on the Dido or Dido or whatever it's called, the Dido. But unfortunately, it was not gifted to me by Wargaming, so I cannot do that. So instead, I started getting back into playing some other ships, and I've been playing a lot of Legendary Tier lately. So I decided to jump back down, get some Tier 7 rotation back going, and so figured I was playing this one and the Alabama tonight. I was kind of jumping back and forth, trying to see what happened, if we could get a fun match. But ended up getting some good matches tonight, but some really frustrating matches. This one's going to be an interesting one. This is going to be one of those games that comes down to the wire, but it's really not all that close. It is, but it isn't. But I want to stress a couple of things during this playthrough or this gameplay. Understand your enemy. There's a reason I tell everybody to play everything as best you can. Now, obviously, you can't always jump in and play all the premium ships and stuff like that. I don't expect anybody to come in here and spend the kind of money that these guys ask for everything. Like, it's ridiculous. If you get a premium ship here and there that you want to go for, I've always said the best way to spend your money in this game is get the 2,500 doubloon Admiralty backing. You get so much more out of that than any other thing that you're ever going to get in the game. But I digress. I understand that not everybody can play the premiums, but that's where videos come in handy as well. There's so many people that's got videos out there, whether it's me, whether it's other people. We try to show off the ships, not only because it's fun to play different ships, but also so people can learn what they're capable of, right? And in this match, I want you guys to pay specific attention to the Ruprecht that's next to me, and then an Odin on the enemy team. Okay? Both of those are torpedo German battleships. One of those is just significantly better in a close-up quarters brawl than the other. And shout out to the Ruprecht, right? Like, the Ruprecht is just better. It's tier 8. It's got much better torp angles. It has a lot more torps. It has more, I wouldn't say more accurate guns, because the 305s on the Odin are pretty freaking good. But understanding your enemy goes a long ways. All right, now we get a beautiful shot at his broadside right out the gate, and I believe that the Ruprecht does as well, because when the next time he's spotted, he's below half health. I only hit him for 13, but the Ruprecht and I both slapped the crap out of that Odin, and that's going to force that Odin to just sit behind the island for the next 3 to 5 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating. But as I start to push forward, our Suja, shockingly, decides to just YOLO forward. And he does run straight into their Suja. They're going to have like a little bit of a beatdown with one another, but unfortunately I can't really do anything about it because he's behind an island from me. Now, what I had read from here, now we know there are 3 people that usually spawn per spawn point, right? So there's one ship unaccounted for. I have no idea where they're at. I can only assume that they went back across the map and we just never got the chance to see them in time. But the Flaunder comes over from the middle. He's pushing into a beautiful spot to have a crossfire on the Suja. The Ruprecht, I think, may have gotten a shot or 2 into the Suja. Somebody has slapped the Suja pretty hard. I think it was the Flaunder, of all things. But as we start to push forward, you'll see that I'm like kind of waiting for something to get spotted. Now, why have I decided to push back? Well, I mean, their Suja is stuck in. If he goes anywhere, I can shoot him. Their Odin was falling back, or at least trying to, but now is stuck behind an island. So if he falls back, I can shoot him. But sitting here isn't helping the team. What I could do is set up a crossfire with the right flank, and that's what I intended to do here. That is until the 3rd ship shows himself, and he actually decided to go around the island. And he took his sweet time doing it. It turns out to be the Duncan. Again, had no idea that he had went that direction. I mean, it was obvious that there was a 3rd ship that hadn't been spotted, so the likelihood of him going around there was pretty high. But you can see that our Ruprecht starts pushing around that left side. Now, with a Duncan and an Odin, the two Sujas essentially trade, so it's no harm, no foul there. But because of the Duncan coming in, you can see that I'm going to have to turn back around. Now, I did get a good shot into the Atlantico there. Not a huge amount of damage, but a decent hit. And as I turn back around, I want to engage the Duncan to help the team get rid of him. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this move. Why did I do this? because I can't afford to have these guys fail this flank, right? I can't trust my teammates to win this fight. Like, I know how strong the Duncan can be, and against people that don't know what the Duncan is or can't overmatch him or whatever, like, it can be incredibly tanky. And perfect example, the Flounder, I do believe has, does the Flounder have 16? No, I think it has 15-inch guns. I think the Flounder is the one that I always get backwards, because I think of 16-inch guns on the French battleships, and I think I get it wrong every single time. It's the Champagne has the 16-inch guns. Everything else has 15-inch guns or 14-inch guns. And so I think the Flounder has 15-inch guns as well. I think I get that backwards every single time. But anyway, we get a shot here at the Duncan, again, knowing that I overmatch him, knowing that if I can get him out of here quickly, our team has a much better chance. And the Odin, we've already got down below half his health, and if I get loaded again, I'll have another beautiful look at his broadside to hopefully help get rid of him. But I understand that the Duncan is coming for me, right? Like, we know what the Duncan is, we know what it's capable of, we know those nuclear torpedoes are nothing to be trifled with, so we got to be careful. Now, unfortunately, we were the ones spotting the Odin, so of course Odin goes dark, but then he gets spotted again immediately. So we're trying to look at our shot. We get the shot out. Beautiful looking, flat trajectory. That's going to hurt. And of course it does. But in true Spartan fashion, we leave him with just enough to get away. Or at least continue being a problem. Then that's when the Duncan manages to get around the island, and now I'm into trouble. Obviously, broadside to the Duncan. I don't think he actually citadeled me there. It was just a lot of penetrations. But it hurt. He's shooting AP, which I love to see out of the Duncan. A lot of people just shoot HE out of the Duncan. But we know his torps are on the way, and we know he gets 2 torpedoes, one off either side. They're relatively fast reloading. So we've got to keep that in mind. We can't be eating those torpedoes. They do 30,000 damage apiece, but unfortunately, he gets the second torpedo off, and I can't dodge it. Like, we're 3 kilometers away, and you can see that one only did 16. He managed to hit the torpedo protection. If he hit anywhere else, that's 30,000 damage. It's disgusting. But in that case, it would have been 32,000 damage, apparently. Apparently, he's buffed his torpedoes or something. But it doesn't matter, because now he's double and back. And at this point, I'm pretty confident I'm going to kill him before he gets his torps away. But I've got to respect it, right? We get the triple citadel through the bow. No big deal. But I've got to respect the fact that he potentially got a torpedo off. So I give it a few seconds here as I start to make my turn back towards the Odin. Now look at the fight between the Odin and the freaking Ruprecht. Why is the Ruprecht not fighting him? And what the is the Ruprecht torping right now? Anybody? I have no idea. But Mans is terrified of this Odin, and I don't know why. He literally has the advantage in every single aspect of that fight with the Odin. He has the hit point advantage, he has the torpedo advantage, he has the secondary advantage, he has the main gun advantage. He literally has the advantage in every sense of the word, right? But he doesn't take the initiative. He's terrified to fight the guy. And you can see he's trying to use the secondary, he's trying to use his torps. He does torp him, finally. But again, if he'd have just moved in, he could have torped the Odin before the Odin could have done anything. The Odin was bow into him. The Odin has terrible torp angles. They're on the rear of the ship. That was horrendous dispersion, by the way. But they're on the rear of the ship. So he has let the Odin turn around, and now the Odin can potentially torp him, which is not what you want. Like, you've got to recognize when you have an advantage to use that advantage to your advantage. Otherwise, it's not an advantage. Does that make sense? but even worse than that, he's not shooting the guy. Like, you do have guns, right? He's so focused on trying to torp this guy and sit there with his secondaries that he's not shot this guy with his main guns and done any meaningful damage with him. Like, you see his secondaries occasionally hit and do some damage, little chip damage, but you haven't seen him land any meaningful shots on that guy in the last 3 minutes. And I'm not hating, okay? Don't get this twisted. It's not hating. It's just one of those moments. It's like, it's mind-boggling to me because, like, what are you doing? And not only that, he's kiting out of the cap. He's like, yeah, I got to get out of here. This Odin, he's a real troublemaker. Like, what are you doing? Oh, so if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And so we do. We get rid of the Odin for him. And now at this point I get into the chat, I'm like, can somebody please capture the Bravo cap now? I've done my part. I've got to go over here and try to help the right flank. Right? We've got an Atlantico over here, we got a D7P, we got a Delaware, we got a lot of firepower left over here, including a destroyer. So the next thing that we need to pay attention to is what happens with our teammates. Like, our Baltimore is kind of hemmed in. He's got people chasing him down from behind, and of course I just fired my guns and the destroyer gets spotted, so now we're going to try to lead the destroyer here, get a shot with the rear turret. That looks fantastic. I ain't gonna lie. I thought I had him here. I ain't gonna lie. I thought I had him, but unfortunately just turned enough to avoid getting finished off there. We only hit the one shot. But then, of course, Atlantico gets spotted. He's out of his secondary range from us, which is good. But I want you guys to also pay attention to minimap. There's an island behind me that I'm going to have to try to turn around and dodge. And this is one of those situations, those little tiny blips on the map. You got to pay attention to all of them, because they'll jump out and they'll stick you at the worst possible time, too. But you can see I get some really good shots into the side of this Atlantico, because, you know, Atlanticos, they got to use those secondaries. So they just go broadside most of the time, and you can usually farm them pretty good. But in everything that has gone on, this match is way closer than it should be. We're losing on points, but we're gaining two more caps. That's going to give us a 3-to-1 advantage in caps if we can cap it. I know that I'm capable of finishing these guys off. You can see I'm backing up, trying to stay angled. Unfortunately for me, the enemy Delaware or whatever, it is Delaware, is also shooting HE. It's not just the D7P over there. But you can see I leave the Atlantico with just enough to get away again. He gets another shot off at me. And then also you have the Hipper over there. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to what happens next. All right, we've already hit the Hipper. We've already slapped the crap out of the Atlantico. We're taking all the punishment so that our team can do their job, which is capture the bases, right? And then, of course, we take a little bit more damage there from the Atlantico because they couldn't hit him to finish him off. I left him with no hit points, but fortunately, we were able to get out of there before the torpedoes from the Delaware get there. And, of course, Hipper gets a fire on us. And wouldn't be the end of the world. As we go to look at the Hipper, we're trying to rotate the guns all the way back around, try to put some distance between us and the Delaware and the D7P, because their biggest threat to me is their high explosive, but it's also their airdrops, right? So the more distance I get between us, the less likely they are to be able to use those airdrops. But unfortunately, between the two of them hitting me with HE, which I believe it was the Delaware that hit me with the HE there, but I thought the D7P was going to turn back inside here, so I led for that, and he turned out, so he gets to dodge all of these, unfortunately. And this is going to lead to my death, but it also forces him completely broadside in front of the Ruprecht, who has finally figured out that he's allowed to shoot his guns. And he not only yeeted the Hipper, but he's about to yeet the D7P as well. And again, this is what I mean by those guns on the German battlecruiser guns are nasty. So why he wasn't using them on the Odin is beyond me. I have no idea. Maybe he just couldn't figure out where he needed to shoot, but it's really not that difficult. It's every ship. If you can't overmatch a ship, and they're bow tanking you or stern tanking you, shoot superstructure. Now here, he opens up the angle, and I get a couple of hits, but unfortunately he didn't finish the turn, so we didn't get the shot that we were looking for. We go ahead and we hit the DCP a little bit late here, but we got 46 hit points. Unfortunately for us, before we get our guns reloaded, the enemy dragon is going to take a shot, and he's going to hit the superstructure and finish us off. Only needed to do 46 damage, but we did our job. And at the end of the day, that's all you can ask from a teammate, right? Just, I did my part. I don't mind sacrificing myself in order to better the team's advantage, right? And because the Ruprecht was playing so passively for so long, I had to do so much more and try to guarantee that our team wins that flank, gets that cap, and then I have to try to tank all the damage from everybody on the map long enough for my team to get the advantage in points. And that allowed the crossfire between the Ruprecht and the enemy team. They're dodging me, they can't dodge him as well. So they're going to be broadside to one of us. And that also stresses the importance of crossfires, which is something we talk about all the time. But the good news is our Velos is moving up to counter the enemy destroyer on the right flank, even though he doesn't really go too ham about it. He does go over that direction, which is going to allow him to put himself in position to potentially counter the destroyer. The Ruprecht is closing the distance on the Delaware. He does take a few torpedoes, but he's done a pretty good job, at least, of minimizing the amount of damage he takes from the torpedoes. But you can see this little turd blossom in the freaking destroyer doing a good job of setting fires, just being annoying, keeping himself alive despite having very little health. And Ruprecht gets hit again with HE from the Delaware that sets another fire. But Delaware takes a shot, or Ruprecht takes a shot at the Delaware and just does no damage again. And this just leads me to believe that this guy is either the world's worst shot, which you can see he finally gets a shot here, or he just has had really bad RNG. I don't know which. But the broadside of a Delaware at this kind of range, even a Bismarck would struggle to miss that. So I don't know what happened to that shot. But the destroyer makes a mistake of coming around the corner, didn't realize our destroyer was over there to counter him, and the Velos is going to capitalize on that, sending him to the Shadow Realm. And our teammate is going to get pretty close to capturing the last base. Or no, we already captured the base, never mind. As the timer is about to run out anyway. And you can see we were about to take a pretty nasty hit here, leaving us with 6,200 health. But it didn't matter because we won on points. But if I hadn't doubled back to fend off the Duncan and help with the Odin, we lose that match. It's not even a question. But it is funny that the Ruprecht ends up higher than me on the leaderboard because he gets a couple of interesting little kills late in the game. But we did everything we needed to do. He also got a base cap, which is why he gets more XP than me, most likely. But he also ended up with a Confederate, I guess, because he shot the Suja, I'm assuming. But it's just one of those things that it's just funny to me. The XP, the way the XP works in this game is funny because I did way more to win that game for the team than that Ruprecht did, right? But XP says otherwise. Let me know if you guys agree with the stuff that I said during this or disagree. I'm always open for constructive criticism. If you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.